His Leica M11's viewfinder, the camera's familiar weight anchoring him as he captured his son Jaden's 13th birthday celebration. Years of surgical precision had taught him to notice the smallest details, the slight tremor in a patient's hand, the faintest heart murmur. Today, those keen observation skills revealed something far more insidious. Through the lens, he tracked his wife Valerie Francis as she navigated through their cliffside Newport Beach estate's expansive terrace. Her calculated movements, the practiced smile, the way she kept gravitating toward their family attorney, Romeo Roberson. Each glance between them lasted a fraction too long, each casual touch lingering beyond propriety. Dr. Thornton, the caterers need your signature for the additional Wagyu sliders. His house manager, Maria Rodriguez, approached with a tablet. Of course. Tyrone lowered his camera, maintaining his composed exterior as he signed. Everything running smoothly? Maria hesitated. Mrs. Francis ordered another round of premium champagne. I remembered you wanted to review expenses over a certain amount. Let it go through. Tyrone's voice remained steady, though his jaw tightened imperceptibly. The latest bank statements had shown alarming discrepancies, but this wasn't the moment to address them. It's Jaden's big day. The party was a display of excess that had become Valerie's hallmark. Brazilian caterers in crisp white uniforms weaved through 50 guests, serving delicacies on silver platters. By the infinity pool overlooking the Pacific, a professional DJ kept a crowd of teenagers entertained with the latest hits. Several of Tyrone's colleagues from Newport Coast Medical Center attended, their presence a reminder of his position as chief of cardiology. Through his camera, Tyrone captured candid moments. Jaden's genuine smile as he opened presents, 11-year-old Emma's excitement as she danced with her friends. Then his lens caught something that made his finger freeze on the shutter. Valerie discreetly touching Romeo's arm, her head tilting toward the rose garden. Dr. Boyd Gillespie, the hospital board chair, approached Tyrone. Quite the celebration you've put together. Valerie's vision, Tyrone replied, adjusting his zoom lens as he tracked the two figures slipping away from the party. Would you excuse me? Need to capture some shots of the garden. The rose garden, Valerie's pride and joy, had been designed with numerous private nooks and hidden benches. Tyrone moved silently along the gravel path, years of surgical stealth serving him well. The zoom lens brought Romeo and Valerie into sharp focus, their bodies pressed together behind a thorny arch of climbing roses. Everything's proceeding perfectly, Romeo murmured, his hands possessively gripping Valerie's waist. The malpractice lawsuit drops next week. By the time he realizes what's happening, everything will be in our names. Valerie's laugh was cold, unfamiliar. He's so focused on his precious hospital, he hasn't even noticed the transfers. Poor, brilliant Tyrone, always assuming everyone's as honest as he is. The children? Romeo's voice held a calculating edge. Already see you as more of a father than him. It's been almost too easy. The camera's shutter clicked silently, capturing their betrayal in high resolution. Tyrone's hand remained steady, his breathing controlled, just as it did during the most delicate cardiac procedures. Only his eyes, hidden behind the viewfinder, revealed the glacial fury building within. Mrs. Thornton? A young voice called out. Mom wants to know if it's time for cake. Tyrone watched through the lens as they separated smoothly, their masks sliding back into place. Valerie emerged from the roses, picture perfect as always. Coming, sweetie. Tell everyone to gather around the pool. Later, as the party wound down and guests began departing, Tyrone reviewed the photos on his laptop. Each image told a story not just of today's betrayal, but of countless small moments he'd dismissed over the past months. The dwindling account balances, the late-night phone calls, the children's growing distance. Dr. Gillespie lingered after most guests had left. Tyrone, there's something you should know. There are rumors circulating about potential misconduct allegations. Let me guess, involving prescription irregularities? Tyrone's voice was calm, his expression neutral. Boyd's surprise was evident. You know, I'm beginning to piece things together. Tyrone closed his laptop, his decision made. Thank you for the heads up, Boyd. I may need your help in the coming weeks. As Boyd left, Tyrone watched Valerie directing the cleanup crew, Romeo still lingering despite the party's end. Their performance was flawless, the devoted wife, the trusted family friend. But Tyrone had seen behind their masks, and his surgical precision would now be turned to a different kind of operation entirely. The security system's installation had raised Valerie's eyebrows, a rare crack in her perfect facade. "Isn't it a bit excessive?" she'd asked, watching the technicians work. Tyrone had cited recent break-ins in the neighborhood, but the real security breach had already occurred within his own home. Now, in his study, Tyrone accessed the system's footage. The kitchen camera feed from earlier that evening revealed a scene that twisted in his gut worse than any surgical complication he'd ever faced. Valerie stood at the marble island, Romeo's arm draped possessively around her waist. Jaden and Emma sat on the bar stools, their expressions both eager and calculating expressions no child should wear. "Your father's signature was the easy part," Valerie was saying, sliding documents across the counter. "We've been changing your father's legal documents for years. Everything's in our names now. Soon you'll never have to pretend to love him again." Tyrone's hands clenched, but his eyes remained fixed on the screen. His children's responses cut deeper than any betrayal from Valerie. "Our real dad's so clever." Emma bounced in her seat, beaming at Romeo. The same smile she'd given Tyrone when he taught her to ride a bike just 2 years ago. "We hate living with current dad. He's always at the hospital, and when he is home, he's so boring. We're just waiting for Mom to divorce him." Jaden, his son who once shadowed him at the hospital dreaming of becoming a doctor, nodded eagerly. "Romeo takes us to cool places and buys us whatever we want. He says once you're gone, we can go on that world tour you never had time for." The footage captured another figure, one that caught Tyrone's attention. Romeo's associate, Kelly Lynn, lingered in the doorway, clutching a folder of documents. The young lawyer's expression showed something different from the other's triumphant plotting. Discomfort, perhaps even guilt. "Remember," Romeo's voice oozed false warmth, "this is our little secret for now. Your father wouldn't understand how happy we'll be as a real family." "He never understands anything," Jaden muttered. "Too busy saving other people's lives to care about ours." Valerie stroked his hair. "That's why Romeo's here. He understands what we need." The timestamp showed this conversation happened while Tyrone had been seeing off the last party guests. The careful orchestration of it all, the timing, the manipulation, the practiced responses spoke of long-term planning. A knock at his study door interrupted the footage. "Dr. Thornton?" Maria, the house manager, entered with concern etched on her face. I think you should know something." "Go on, Maria." She twisted her hands nervously. "I've noticed Mr. Roberson coming here when you're at the hospital, and last week, I overheard him on the phone in the garden, discussing something about forged documents and offshore accounts." Tyrone studied her worried expression. "How long have you known?" "I've suspected for months, but—" She straightened her shoulders. "Today, I saw Mrs. Francis give him access to your home office. They didn't know I was there." "Thank you, Maria. Your loyalty won't be forgotten." Tyrone made a mental note Maria would be a valuable witness. "Please, continue your normal routine. Act as if we never had this conversation." After she left, Tyrone returned to the security footage. He watched as Romeo outlined their plans to the children, poisoning them against their father with promises and lies. The timestamps showed similar conversations happening over weeks, each one carefully crafted to erode any remaining loyalty to him. A text message lit up his phone from Kelly Lynn. "We need to talk. Not here. Not around them." The midnight streets of downtown Newport Beach held few secrets for Tyrone. He'd walked them countless times during his residency, learning that darkness often revealed truths daylight concealed. The 24-hour diner where Kelly Lynn waited was a remnant of those days, fluorescent lights harsh against chrome fixtures, coffee strong enough to cut through any fatigue. Before entering, Tyrone reviewed the evidence he'd gathered since the party ended. His laptop held folders within folders, financial statements showing systematic draining of accounts, property records with suspiciously perfect signatures, medical practice documents accessed at odd hours. Each piece revealed another strand of the web they'd woven around him. Kelly sat in a corner booth, shoulders hunched over a coffee cup, his expensive suit incongruous in the shabby setting. His fingers drumbled nervously on the tabletop as Tyrone approached. Dr. Thornton. Kelly's voice cracked slightly. I wasn't sure you'd come. You have documents for me? Tyrone's tone was measured, diplomatic, the same voice he used delivering difficult diagnoses. Kelly pulled out a thick folder. Everything I could copy without them noticing. Romeo. He's done this before. Different names, different states. The pattern's always the same: wealthy doctors, their wives on hospital boards, children he can turn. Tyrone opened the folder, methodically reviewing each page. Property transfers, power of attorney documents, modified medical records. His entire life, systematically dismantled through careful forgeries and calculated manipulations. Tell me about Arizona, Tyrone said, not looking up from the papers. Kelly's surprise was audible. You know about that? I'm thorough. Romeo was disbarred there under a different name, wasn't he? James Richardson back then. 3 doctors lost everything: practices, homes, families. 1. Kelly swallowed hard. One couldn't handle it. Took her own life. Dr. Juanita Pena. Tyrone finally looked up, his eyes sharp. I read about her case. Never connected it until now. They met at the hospital fundraiser 3 years ago, Kelly continued, words tumbling out. Valerie was already looking for someone like him. She'd been building resentment, documenting every missed dinner, every school event you couldn't attend. Romeo provided the expertise, the legal framework. They've been planning this meticulously. The children? Psychological warfare. They intercept your calls and texts, stage fights for them to witness, plant evidence of affairs that never happened. Romeo plays the perfect father figure while systematically destroying their image of you. Tyrone pushed a document across the table. Explain this prescription alteration, part of the DEA setup. When the malpractice lawsuit hits, these records will show irregular prescribing patterns. Your medical license, your credibility during the divorce, everything goes up in smoke. Why are you telling me this? Kelly's laugh was bitter. Gambling debts. Romeo found me when I was desperate, pulled me into his operation. But Dr. Pena's case. I can't have another suicide on my conscience. You understand I'll need your testimony? They'll kill me. Real fear colored Kelly's voice. Tyrone leaned forward, his presence suddenly filling the small booth. No, they won't. Because you're going to help me take them down, and in return, I'll ensure you're protected. Think carefully about your answer, Mr. Lin. Your redemption or your ruin, choose now. The young lawyer studied Tyrone's expression, seeing not a broken man, but a surgeon used to making life and death decisions. What's your plan? First, you'll continue as normal. Let them think their scheme is working. Meanwhile, Tyrone pulled out his phone, showing Kelly the footage from his home. We'll build our own web. One they won't see until it's too late. They're watching your every move, Kelly warned. Good. Tyrone's smile held no warmth. Let them watch. They think they're destroying a naive doctor too, focused on saving lives, to see their betrayal. They'll learn that precision cuts both ways. As he left the diner, Tyrone's phone buzzed with a text from Valerie. Coming home soon, darling? Missed you at dinner. He typed back. Just finishing some hospital paperwork. Don't wait up. The lie felt clean. Surgical, the first incision in an operation 3 years in the making. They'd taken his trust, poisoned his children's love, and planned to destroy everything he'd built. Now, in the quiet midnight hours of Newport Beach, Tyrone Thornton began his counterstrike with the same precision he used in the operating room. The game they'd started would end differently than they imagined. After all, who better to dismantle a web than the spider they thought they trapped? FBI agent Bridget Contreras studied the evidence spread across her office desk, her expression hardening with each document. Dr. Thornton, this goes beyond simple fraud. We're looking at a sophisticated criminal enterprise. Kelly Lynn sat nervously in the corner, his designer suit wrinkled from hours of providing testimony. Romeo's been operating this scheme for years. In Arizona, he went by James Richardson. Same pattern, targeting wealthy doctors, using their spouses to gain access, manipulating children. Show me everything, Tyrone commanded, his surgical precision evident in how he organized the mounting evidence. Start with the prescription records. Kelly pulled out his laptop, hands trembling slightly. Romeo used Valerie's hospital board access to alter your prescribing patterns. Look at these timestamps, systematic changes dating back 18 months. They're setting you up for a DEA investigation. Agent Contreras leaned forward. When did you first notice unauthorized access to your medical records? 3 months ago. Installed security cameras after that. Tyrone's voice remained steady, though his eyes blazed with controlled fury. What I didn't realize was how deep they'd already dug. The FBI office bustled outside the conference room, but inside, the air grew heavy with each new revelation. Kelly pulled up document after document, each showing another strand of Romeo's web. He targeted you specifically, Kelly explained. Your wealth, your reputation, your position at Newport Coast Medical Center, all perfect for his scheme. Valerie's role on the hospital board was just icing on the cake. Agent Contreras set up recording equipment. We'll need everything documented. Every forged signature, every altered record. Over the next several hours, they meticulously built their case. Hidden cameras were strategically placed throughout Tyrone's home and office, capturing Romeo and Valerie in the act of forging documents. Federal warrants allowed them to tap phones, revealing conversations that turned stomachs. The beauty of it, Romeo's voice crackled through a recording, is that by the time the malpractice suit hits, his own prescription records will destroy his credibility. No judge will believe him over a respected hospital board member. Valerie's laugh joined his. And the children are completely turned. Emma actually threw away the birthday card he gave her. Said she'd rather have one from her real dad. Tyrone's hand tightened on his armrest, but his face remained impassive. Agent Contreras noticed his control and nodded approvingly. We need you to maintain exactly this composure, Dr. Thornton. Let them think they're winning. What about the other victims? Tyrone asked, his mind already racing ahead. Kelly pulled up more files. 3 other doctors in Arizona. Dr. Marcus Chun lost his practice and family. Dr. Sarah Williams had to declare bankruptcy. And Dr. Juanita Pena. He swallowed hard. Tell him, Agent Contreras insisted. Dr. Pena couldn't handle losing her children and medical license. Kelly's voice cracked. She took her own life last year. Her daughter found her. Tyrone stood, walking to the window. The Newport Beach sunset painted the sky blood red, fitting for what he was about to unleash. How long before we can move on this? We need more evidence of the forgeries, Agent Contreras replied. And ironically, every new fraudulent transfer they make strengthens our case. We're setting up surveillance at your practice tomorrow. One more thing, Kelly added, pulling out his phone. Listen to this conversation between Romeo and Valerie from last week. The recording played, revealing their casual discussion of how they'd manipulated the children, staged fights, intercepted communications, carefully crafted lies about affairs that never happened. They laughed about Emma's diary, which Valerie had systematically rewritten to plant false memories. Enough. Tyrone's voice cut through the recording. His next words carried the weight of a surgeon's certainty. When we move, we take them all down. Every corrupt paralegal, every compromised bank official. I want their entire network dismantled. Agent Contreras smiled grimly. That's exactly what we intend to do. Now, let's discuss how we're going to handle the upcoming hospital board meeting. Judge Monica Nguyen's chambers provided a secure location for the next phase of their plan. Tyrone's sister had always possessed a razor-sharp legal mind, but today her expertise would prove invaluable. The trust is ironclad, Monica assured him, reviewing the documents. I established it before any of their fraudulent transfers. Every asset they think they're stealing is actually strengthening our position. Tyrone nodded, examining the complex legal framework she'd created. And the children's trust funds? Completely separate and secure. Valerie can't touch them. Monica's expression softened slightly. Have you considered bringing in a child psychologist? Already arranged. Dr. Sadie Valdez comes highly recommended for cases of parental alienation. As if on cue, Dr. Valdez entered the chambers, her professional demeanor masking her shock at what she discovered. The level of manipulation is extraordinary, she began, placing a tablet on the desk. Look at this security footage. The video showed Valerie coaching the children before their therapy sessions. Remember, she instructed them, tell Dr. Marcus about how Daddy missed your school play because he was too busy with his patients. Don't mention that I told Romeo to call him with a fake emergency that day. The psychological damage is significant, Dr. Valdez continued, but documented manipulation this blatant will be crucial for custody proceedings. Agent Contreras, who had been silently observing, spoke up. We've connected 3 more victims of Romeo's previous schemes. Dr. Chan agreed to testify. And Dr. Williams? Monica asked. Still too scared, but she provided documentation. The pattern's identical, using hospital board access, manipulating medical records, turning families against their targets. Tyrone reviewed the surveillance photos from his practice. They showed Romeo accessing medical records late at night, Valerie distracting security while he worked. Each image was another nail in their coffin. They're getting bolder, Agent Contreras noted. Yesterday's phone tap caught them discussing plans to accelerate the timeline. A knock at the chamber door interrupted them. Dr. Boyd Gillespie entered, looking grave. Valerie's called an emergency board meeting for next week. She's planning to present evidence of your supposed misconduct. Tyrone's smile was cold. Perfect. Let her present every piece of fabricated evidence. Each one strengthens our RICO case. The board members? Monica asked. Most are aware of our operation, Boyd assured them. Those who aren't will be convinced by the evidence we've gathered. Dr. Valdez reviewed more footage from the children's therapy sessions. They're starting to show cracks in their conditioning. Yesterday, Jaden almost slipped mentioned a conversation with you that Romeo had scripted. Keep pushing gently, Tyrone instructed. We need organic revelations, not forced ones. The room fell silent as they watched more surveillance footage. Romeo and Valerie forged signatures with practiced ease, laughing about their plans for Tyrone's father's car collection. Their arrogance was absolute, their contempt obvious in every gesture. Tomorrow's transfer of the Aspen property, Monica noted. Are we ready? Agent Contreras nodded. Every signature they forge is being documented. The forensic evidence is overwhelming. And the children? Dr. Valdez asked softly. When this breaks, Tyrone replied, his voice firm but not unkind. They'll need intensive support. I've arranged for immediate intervention. The Newport Coast Medical Center boardroom crackled with tension. Valerie Frances Thornton stood at the head of the table, her designer suit and perfectly coiffed hair a stark contrast to her venomous intent. Members of the board, she began, her voice dripping with false concern. What I'm about to present disturbs me deeply. As a board member and wife of Dr. Thornton, I felt compelled to bring these irregularities to light. Dr. Boyd Gillespie watched the performance with carefully concealed disgust. Beside him, other board members maintained neutral expressions, each one briefed on their role in today's trap. Valerie projected prescription records onto the screen. As you can see, these patterns suggest serious misconduct. The DEA has already been notified. Interesting timing, Boyd commented mildly. Just before your divorce filing? My personal situation has nothing to do with this. Valerie's mask slipped slightly, showing a flash of anger. These records speak for themselves. In the surveillance room, Tyrone watched with Agent Contreras and their team. Multiple cameras captured every angle of the boardroom, recording each damning moment. Records can be quite revealing, Boyd continued, like access logs showing unauthorized entry to our medical records system. Would you care to explain these timestamps, Mrs. Thornton? Valerie faltered for just a moment. I have board authorization for accessing prescription records at 2 a.m.? Another board member interjected. With Romeo Roberson present? The trap was springing shut. Each question, each piece of evidence they presented, had been carefully choreographed to build their RICO case. A commotion outside the boardroom drew attention. A woman entered, elegant, poised, and radiating cold fury. Claire Vaughn, Romeo's ex-wife from Arizona, made her entrance exactly as planned. Perhaps I can help explain, Claire announced. James Richardson, or Romeo Roberson, as he calls himself now, has quite a history with medical board meetings. Valerie's composure cracked. Who are you? Security. Security is quite aware of my presence, Claire smiled. as is the FBI. James Romeo destroyed my life in Arizona, along with the lives of 3 other doctors and their families. Would you like to see the evidence? In the surveillance room, Agent Contreras smiled grimly. She's playing her part perfectly. Tyrone watched as more documents appeared on the screen, proof of Romeo's previous identity, his disbarment, his pattern of fraud. Each revelation stripped away another layer of Valerie's confidence. These are lies, Valerie sputtered. Romeo is a respected attorney who was disbarred in Arizona, Boyd finished, and who orchestrated the suicide of Dr. Juanita Pena after destroying her life exactly as he planned to destroy Dr. Thornton's. The boardroom erupted in controlled chaos. Every outburst, every denial from Valerie, added to their case. Romeo, summoned to defend her, walked straight into their trap, his attempts at legal maneuvering only further incriminating them both. I think we have enough, Agent Contreras declared, standing. Time for the final phase. Tyrone remained seated, watching his wife's desperate attempts to salvage her scheme. Not yet. Let them dig a little deeper. The next hour proved him right. Valerie and Romeo, backed into a corner, began accusing each other, their carefully constructed alliance crumbling under pressure. Every word was recorded, every accusation documented. Now, Tyrone finally said, we move on to Act 3. But that would be another chapter, one where justice would finally be served. For now, he watched as his wife and her lover destroyed themselves, their own arrogance and cruelty becoming their undoing. The trap had worked perfectly. The next phase would bring the reckoning they so richly deserved. Newport Coast Elementary's auditorium buzzed with excitement before Emma's school play. Parents filed in, finding their seats in the dim lighting. In the front row, Valerie Francis adjusted her herm scarf, whispering to Romeo Roberson beside her. Everything's falling into place, she murmured. After tonight's board vote, his career is finished. Romeo squeezed her hand, his expensive watch glinting. The DEA investigation starts Monday. He won't know what hit him. Neither noticed Agent Bridget Contreras slipping into the back row, or the federal agents quietly positioning themselves at every exit. Dr. Boyd Gillespie and Judge Monica Nguyen took their seats strategically, watching the oblivious couple. Behind the curtain, Emma Thornton practiced her lines. She played Truth in the school's production of The Emperor's New Clothes, an irony not lost on Tyrone as he watched from the wings. He'd insisted on helping with the stage lighting, earning a rare smile from his daughter. Places everyone. The drama teacher called out. 5 minutes. Tyrone checked his phone. A message from Agent Contreras. Teams in position. Green light. The play began. Children acting out the tale of deception and revelation. Emma stood center stage, her clear voice ringing out. Sometimes the greatest lies are the ones we want to believe. Valerie beamed proudly, completely missing the significance. Romeo checked his phone repeatedly, growing increasingly agitated at the string of urgent messages from his office. The arrest had been planned to coincide with Emma's pivotal monologue. As she stepped forward, spotlight illuminating her face, she delivered the line they'd waited for. The truth will always be revealed. Agent Contreras moved first, her team converging silently. Romeo Roberson, also known as James Richardson, you're under arrest for conspiracy, fraud, and evidence tampering. The chaos that erupted was controlled, precise just as Tyrone had planned. Romeo lunged for the exit, only to find federal agents blocking his path. Valerie's scream of outrage turned to shock as handcuffs clicked around her wrists. This is ridiculous. She struggled against the agents. I'm a hospital board member. Do you know who I am? Yes, Mrs. Francis, Agent Contreras replied coldly. We know exactly who you are and what you've done. Emma stood frozen on stage, script forgotten as she watched her mother and real dad being led away. Jaden, seated in the audience, stared at his phone, seeing for the first time the evidence that his private conversations with Romeo had been scripted, his device cloned to intercept messages from his father. Your Honor, Romeo tried appealing to Judge Nguyen, not realizing her role in his downfall. This is all a misunderstanding. Save it for your arraignment. Monica cut him off. I've seen enough evidence to put you away for decades. Dr. Boyd Gillespie stepped forward, addressing the stunned audience. Please remain calm. The play will continue after a brief intermission. Behind the curtain, Emma collapsed into tears, reality crashing down. Tyrone moved to comfort her, but Dr. Sadie Valdez intercepted they'd planned for this moment. Emma, Dr. Valdez spoke gently, remember what we discussed about truth and lies? It's okay to feel confused right now. Jaden joined them backstage, his voice shaking. They wrote scripts for me. Every time I thought I was just talking to Romeo. It was all fake? The evidence was undeniable. Agents were already confiscating phones and tablets, revealing the elaborate network of surveillance and manipulation Romeo and Valerie had used against the children. As they were led out, Valerie's mask finally cracked completely. You don't understand what he's like, she shrieked at the assembled parents. Always at the hospital, always saving others. The perfect Dr. Thornton. Add public disturbance to the charges, Agent Contreras noted calmly. Romeo maintained his attorney's composure until Agent Contreras produced Clairvont's evidence. His face went ashen seeing the Arizona documentation. Your previous victims send their regards, Agent Contreras informed him. Dr. Pena's family particularly looks forward to the trial. The children watched, shell-shocked, as their carefully constructed reality crumbled. Emma's stage costume, the personification of truth, now seemed to mock her. Dad? She whispered, looking at Tyrone with new eyes. Was everything they told us about you a lie? Not now, sweetheart. Dr. Valdez interjected gently. Let's get through tonight. We'll talk about everything tomorrow. The audience filed out, phones already buzzing with the news. Newport's elite had just witnessed the downfall of one of their own, and the exposure of a scandal that would rock their community. Tyrone watched it all with surgical detachment, each piece falling exactly into place. The children's pain was necessary cauterization. Sometimes healing required controlled damage first. The federal courthouse in Los Angeles vibrated with tension 3 months later. Romeo Roberson, wearing prison orange instead of his usual tailored suits, stood for sentencing. The evidence against him had been overwhelming. Detailed documentation of multiple fraud schemes, testimony from previous victims, financial records showing elaborate money laundering, recorded conversations planning the destruction of Tyrone's career, evidence of systematic child manipulation. Judge Marcus Chin, no relation to one of Romeo's Arizona victims, read out the verdict. On multiple counts of conspiracy, fraud, evidence tampering, and child exploitation, this court sentences you to 30 years in federal prison. Valerie's sentencing followed. Her designer clothing replaced by prison garb, her perfectly maintained facade cracked beyond repair. The evidence shows a level of calculated cruelty that this court finds particularly disturbing. Judge Chen continued. Using your own children as weapons against their father demonstrates a moral bankruptcy that demands severe consequences. The dismantling of their network proved far-reaching. Corrupt paralegals, compromised bank officials, even a private investigator they'd hired to fabricate evidence all faced indictments. Every fraudulent transfer was methodically reversed, properties and assets returned to their rightful owners. In Judge Monica Nguyen's chambers afterward, Tyrone reviewed the final tallies with his legal team. The trust protected everything, Monica confirmed. Their attempts to transfer assets only created more evidence against them. Agent Contreras added another file to the stack. Dr. Pena's family can finally close that chapter. Romeo's conviction brings some measure of justice, but the personal revelations cut deeper than any legal victory. Dr. Valdez shared her findings from counseling the children. Emma found her diary, she reported. The original version, hidden in Valerie's safe. Comparing it to the rewritten version shows the systematic gaslighting. Every happy memory with you was altered or erased. Tyrone examined the two diaries. The original showed a loving father-daughter relationship. The doctored version painted him as distant, cold, perpetually absent. And Jaden's phone? He asked. Agent Contreras pulled up the technical analysis. They used sophisticated cloning software. Every message he thought he sent to you was intercepted. Romeo's responses were carefully scripted to drive wedges between you. The evidence of manipulation seemed endless. Staged photographs making it appear Tyrone missed events he'd attended. Edited videos removing him from family moments. fabricated witnesses willing to lie about his behavior, careful coaching before every therapy session, coordinated encounters making Romeo appear to be the better father figure. Dr. Valdez shared recordings from recent sessions. The children's anger had turned to confusion, then devastating realization. Their memories couldn't be trusted. Their emotions had been weaponized against their father. The therapy will be long-term, she advised. They're questioning everything now, but their resilience is remarkable. Judge Chin entered the chambers, adding his perspective. The broader implications of this case are staggering. We're establishing new precedents for dealing with systematic family fraud. The task force is already tracking similar cases, Agent Contreras noted. Romeo's network wasn't unique, just unusually sloppy toward the end. 1 year later, Tyrone stood on the deck of their new Laguna Beach home, watching the sunset paint the Pacific orange and gold. The sound of laughter drifted up from the beach, where Emma and Jaden walked with Dr. Valdez. Their therapy sessions now sometimes took place on sunset strolls. His medical practice had not only survived but thrived. The Newport Coast Medical Center Board, led by Dr. Boyd Gillespie, had publicly acknowledged the attempted fraud. His reputation, temporarily shadowed by Romeo's schemes, emerged stronger. Inside, Agent Contreras and Judge Nguyen reviewed files from their newly established task force. Romeo's conviction had exposed similar operations targeting wealthy professionals. Their work now protected other families from experiencing the same devastating manipulation. Another case in San Diego, Contreras reported. Almost identical pattern: hospital board member, corrupt attorney, targeted children. But we caught it early, Monica added. Dr. Pena's family helped identify the warning signs. The children's healing progressed in stages. Emma, now 12, channeled her experience into studying psychology. Her school essays explored themes of truth and manipulation, earning praise from teachers who didn't know the personal depths behind her insights. Jaden developed an interest in investigative journalism, documenting everything with a dedication born from having his own perceptions twisted. His phone, now secure and monitored by cybersecurity experts, became a tool for truth rather than deception. The children's trust funds which Tyrone had protected from Valerie's schemes grew steadily, ensuring their future education. More importantly, their trust in their father gradually rebuilt, strengthened by the understanding of what they'd nearly lost. Dr. Valdez joined them on the deck, having concluded another beach therapy session. They're making remarkable progress. Today, Emma talked about memories she's sure are real, untainted ones. And Jaden, he's processing his anger productively. Understanding how they manipulated his love of technology has actually deepened his interest in using it ethically. The Newport house had been sold. Too many tainted memories in those walls. This new home in Laguna represented their fresh start. The infinity pool overlooked natural tide pools rather than artificially landscaped gardens. The children's rooms faced the ocean, not manicured rose gardens that had hidden betrayal. A support network formed among Romeo's victims and their families. Monthly meetings, initially focused on healing, evolved into preventive education. Tyrone's methodical documentation became a case study for law enforcement and family courts. The children still struggled with guilt, questioning how they turned against their father so completely. But therapy helped them understand the sophisticated psychological warfare that had been waged against them. "Dad," Emma called from the beach. "Come watch the sunset with us?" Tyrone joined his children at the water's edge. They didn't need words now, just the shared understanding that healing, like justice, required patience and precision. Far up the coast, behind federal prison walls, Valerie and Romeo served their sentences in separate facilities. Their attempts to appeal fell flat against the mountain of evidence. Their network of enablers, facing their own legal consequences, turned against them. But Tyrone focused on rebuilding, not revenge. His surgical precision had served him well, excising the cancer of betrayal while preserving what mattered most. The price of truth had been high, but the cost of lies would have been infinitely higher. The sun dipped below the horizon, ending another day of healing. The Thornton family watched it together, their bonds rebuilt stronger than before. Justice had been swift, but healing took its own time. They had all the time they needed. 10 years had passed since the Newport Beach scandal that shattered the illusion of perfect lives among Orange County's elite. The consequences of betrayal rippled through time, touching lives far beyond the initial players in ways both devastating and transformative. Behind the stark walls of Federal Correctional Institution, Dublin, Valerie Francis served her 12th year of a 15-year sentence. Her perfectly maintained appearance, once her armor in Newport's social circles, had crumbled under prison reality. Her attempted appeals had failed, each one strengthening the evidence of her calculated cruelty. Visitor logs showed a telling story. Not once had her children visited. Emma's 18th birthday card was returned unopened. Jaden's graduation announcement came only through official channels. Her only visitors were lawyers handling ongoing civil suits from Romeo's other victims. 3 cells down, a former bank vice president who had facilitated their fraudulent transfers counted days until release. The network's collapse had snared dozens of accomplices, each conviction adding years to Valerie's isolation. Romeo Roberson, housed in a maximum security facility in Arizona, faced another 18 years of his 30-year sentence. His legal expertise, once a weapon against others, proved useless against the mountain of evidence Tyrone had methodically gathered. Prison records detailed 3 failed attempts to manipulate fellow inmates into helping him appeal. Each attempt only added to his sentence. Claire Vaughn, Romeo's ex-wife from Arizona, had turned her testimony into a crusade. Working with Agent Bridget Contreras, she helped establish a foundation identifying similar fraud schemes targeting medical professionals. Their database had prevented 12 attempts mirroring Romeo's pattern in the past decade. The warning signs were always there, Claire told a conference of hospital administrators in Chicago. We just needed to connect them systematically. Now we can spot the predators before they destroy more families. At Newport Coast Medical Center, Dr. Boyd Gillespie's office displayed a different kind of medical warning, a case study of Romeo's scheme, required reading for all board members. The hospital's security protocols, enhanced after the scandal, became a model for medical institutions nationwide. We lost 3 brilliant doctors to these predators before Tyrone broke the pattern, Boyd explained to new staff. Now we ensure no one can weaponize hospital credentials against our own. Judge Monica Nguyen's career soared after the case. Her expertise in complex family fraud led to her appointment to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The trust structure she'd created to protect Tyrone's assets became a template studied in law schools. Family law evolves as predators get more sophisticated, she told a judicial conference. The Thornton case showed us how deep these conspiracies can run. Now we know to look beyond surface allegations. Dr. Sadie Valdez published groundbreaking research on family psychological manipulation, drawing from her years helping the Thornton children heal. Her practice specialized in recovering from parental alienation, with a waiting list of families seeking help. The children were the true victims, she wrote in her acclaimed book, Weaponized Love. Healing from Family Fraud. Their journey from manipulation to truth shows both the fragility and resilience of family bonds. Agent Contreras led the FBI's Specialized Task Force, now headquartered in a sleek Los Angeles office. Photos of Dr. Juanita Pena and other victims lined the walls, reminding agents of the lives at stake. Their conviction rate approached perfect, thanks to protocols developed from Tyrone's meticulous documentation. The task force's latest case had a familiar ring, a hospital board member in Seattle, working with a charismatic lawyer targeting a neurosurgeon's assets. This time, they stopped it before the children became pawns. Tyrone showed us that fighting these predators requires surgical precision, Contreras told new agents. Patience, documentation, and absolute control until the final moment. Emma Thornton, now 21, earned early acceptance into Stanford's psychology program. Her undergraduate thesis examined how children process discovered deception, drawing carefully from her own experience. Her father's pride showed in the framed copy hanging in his office. Clinical rotations brought her to facilities housing white-collar criminals. Though she never visited her mother's prison, her research helped other families understand similar manipulation patterns. Jaden, graduating high school at 18, chose Columbia's journalism program. His documentary about family fraud won student awards, expertly weaving court records and surveillance footage into a powerful warning about sophisticated predators. Their trust funds, protected from Valerie's schemes, funded their education and future security. More importantly, the funds stood as proof of their father's foresight and devotion, even when they'd been turned against him. The Laguna Beach house became a different kind of refuge than their Newport mansion had been. Weekly family dinners on the deck replaced choreographed social events. The children's friends gathered freely, no longer performing for hidden cameras or scripted conversations. Tyrone's medical practice thrived, his reputation for integrity attracting patients nationwide. He occasionally lectured at law enforcement conferences, teaching investigators to recognize signs he'd learned to spot through such personal cost. The old Newport house sold to another doctor, who raised it completely. The rose garden where Tyrone had first photographed betrayal became a children's playground, perhaps the best transformation possible. Maria Rodriguez, the former house manager whose early warning had proved crucial, managed Tyrone's new household. Her loyalty earned her family opportunities they'd never imagined, including college funds for her children. The support network of Romeo's victims evolved into a formal foundation. Monthly meetings in cities across the country helped other families detect and fight similar schemes. Dr. Pena's daughter led the Phoenix chapter, turning her mother's tragedy into others' salvation. Kelly Lynn, the young lawyer whose conscience sparked the case's unraveling, built a legitimate practice investigating financial fraud. His gambling addiction conquered. He channeled his legal expertise into protecting potential victims. Rock Bottom showed me two paths, he told a bar association ethics panel. I chose to help stop what I nearly helped perpetrate. Romeo's other victims found different forms of healing. Dr. Marcus Chun rebuilt his practice in San Francisco, specializing in helping medical professionals recover from fraud. Dr. Sarah Williams wrote a best-selling memoir about surviving systematic destruction. The children's healing proved more complex than legal victory. Trust, once shattered, rebuilt slowly. But time revealed Tyrone's unwavering strength, contrasting sharply with Romeo's manipulative weakness. Regular therapy with Dr. Valdez continued, though the beach walks now involved more laughter than tears. Emma and Jaden learned to trust their memories again, separating genuine childhood moments from implanted deceptions. Their story became a case study in multiple fields: law enforcement, psychology, medical administration, and legal education. Each perspective revealed new lessons about detecting and fighting sophisticated predators. A decade after justice swept through Newport Beach, Tyrone stood again on his Laguna deck, watching another sunset paint the Pacific. Emma and Jaden, home from college, shared comfortable silence with their father. I saw Mom's latest appeal was denied, Emma said finally. Tyrone nodded. The evidence only gets stronger with time. My professor wants me to present our case to criminal psychology students, Jaden added. Not as a victim, but as a warning to future investigators. Are you ready for that? I think so. The truth doesn't hurt anymore. It just is. Below them, waves crashed against tidal-pools where they'd rebuilt their bonds. The infinity pool overlooked nature's rhythms instead of manicured deception. Their new lives, hard-won through precision and patience, proved more genuine than the glossy facade they'd lost. In prison, Valerie marked another day on her calendar, her elaborate schemes reduced to counting time. Romeo's legal brilliance dimmed to filing futile appeals. Their victims thrived, their destruction transformed into others' protection. The price of betrayal proved highest for the betrayers. Their weapons, manipulation, deceit, and cruel calculation, became tools for identifying others like them. The sophisticated predators found themselves studied, their methods exposed by those they tried to destroy. Dad, Emma's voice carried over the waves. Thank you for fighting for us, even when we fought against you. Tyrone smiled at his children, seeing strength where manipulation once lived. Some battles are worth any cost. The sun dipped below the horizon, ending another day of their reconstructed life. The price of truth had been high, but its value proved immeasurable. In operating rooms, courtrooms, and classrooms across the country, their story taught others to recognize and fight sophisticated destruction of families. Justice, like healing, revealed itself not as a moment but a journey. The Thorntons had made that journey together, emerging stronger than the betrayal that tried to shatter them. In the end, truth didn't just win. It transformed, protecting others from shadows they'd learned to recognize. The price of betrayal became a gift of warning, turning private pain into public protection. Their story, a decade later, stood as testimony. Justice comes not just through courts, but through turning tragedy into transformation. The predators' weapons became society's shields, their deception illuminating truth's enduring power.
This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy the story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.